Hello chums! A not insignificant amount of my content revolves around Gran Turismo's engine swaps. I've done monster taming videos for some of the game's craziest swappable cars, and I've compiled some of the best, worst, most overpowered and most underrated. I've even created a video where I showcased 10 engines that I think should be made available to shoehorn into other cars, whether it be the Mitsubishi 4G63 or a classic Chevy 302. Since there's many cars in Gran Turismo 7 that now have more than one engine available to them, I wanted to highlight some of them that still don't have any swaps at all. I also wanted to suggest which engines they should receive, and with some inspiration from the EJ20 Clio, there will be some bonkers suggestions. First up, we have the 2009 Abarth 500, which uses Fiat's long-running 1.4-litre turbo. At roughly 300 horsepower upgraded, the car is peppy enough, but it does sound awful, and more power certainly couldn't hurt. So which engine should it get? Well, a K24 engine would be the obvious choice, but I would go for 3 different choices. You could either go for the 1.7-litre turbo from the Alfa Romeo 4C, since it makes sense thematically, and with a potential 487 horsepower it represents a big boost in power without being completely stupid, plus it sounds a tad fruitier. Or, to push the boat out, we could borrow an engine from a more distant relative. There is the 3-litre V8 from the Ferrari 308, because who doesn't want a Ferrari engine in their Fiat 500? Or we could go for the V6 Dino engine, courtesy of the Lancia Stratos, just for this noise. AMG is a subsidiary of Mercedes, and it's well known for using beefy V8 power plants. Pagani is an Italian hypercar company, and it's well known for using a Mercedes-Benz V12 that's been beefed up to frankly obscene levels. Pray tell, why is this V12 not an option for every single AMG car, including the A-Class? If the Supra gets it, my C-Class certainly should. Next up, Aston Martin, specifically the 2015 V8 Vantage. The V8 is cool, but V12 makes all of the things better. So I think the forgotten Vantage should get the 7.3-litre Screamer from the hideous Aston Martin 177. Maybe with a 1000 horsepower naturally aspirated 9000 RPM V12, the old Vantage can become slightly more relevant. Alternatively, we could be really stupid and use the diesel V12 from the Peugeot 908, because sometimes blasphemy is very fun. Next on the list is an Audi. We've got a Chiron swap for the R8 V10, an Audi R8 V8 swap for the 2014 Audi TTS. Meanwhile, the 2009 TTS is stuck with its depressing 4-cylinder vacuum cleaner, and I think you may already know which engine I'm going to suggest. If you didn't guess the 5-cylinder Quattro Group B engine, I don't think we can be friends anymore. 5 cylinders and nearly 800 horsepower should be a part of every balanced diet. Almost every single K car in the game has an engine swap. Thing is, Polyphony seems to have forgotten about Mr. Blobby over here, also known as the Daihatsu Copen. It could either have your stereotypical low-revving K24 engine to cheat the performance point system, or you could go for the Honda 2 and 4 MotoGP engine, which unlike the K-swap, would be not shit. Since Daihatsu is now part of Toyota, another alternative could be the 3-cylinder turbo from the GR Yaris. Dodge. The hairy-chested, antisocial company loves to throw a big V8 at everything, so I think it's a crime that the Charger Hellcat can't get the Demon engine for even more big dumb V8 noises. So far, we only have one Ferrari capable of an engine swap, and there's a theory that the company themselves has something to do with the lack of them. Either way, the one swap that we do have is the Enzo V12 for the F40. Why not do the same but slightly further forward in time? My vote is to fit the F140 from the Ferrari F12 or 812 into the 458, because I will keep saying it, V12s make everything better. By this point, we are all fairly resigned to the fact that Polyphony has no respect for hybrids because there's no upgrade potential and no swaps available. Well, bollocks to that, I want to put a bike engine in a Honda Fit. Or for even more entertainment, how about we take that stupid all-wheel drive CR-V with its engine generator system and bin it for a Chevy 302, because who wouldn't want to replace the whistle of an electric motor with this? Maserati. Couple of choices here. The Merak is a surprisingly speedy old wedge, but the low-revving V6 engine noise makes me want to give up on life. So, I think we should be able to give it the sexy V8 from the equally sexy Maserati Gran Turismo. Speaking of the Gran Turismo, it needs its own engine swap, and I think it should be the Enzo V12. This car is insanely fast as it is, so an extra 200 horsepower would make it one hell of an underdog. Mazda has a lot of engine swappable cars. The plastic appliance known as the Mazda CX-30 is not one of them. Polyphony, please give it a 13B rotary. Renault. For some reason, Polyphony saw fit to add a Renault Kangoo into Gran Turismo, which I suppose is rather on brand at this point. Now imagine if this van sounded like this car. I rest my case. Toyota Prius, LS9 engine. Need I say more? Next up, Volkswagen. The Polo, Golf Mark 7 and Scirocco all have the distinction of being some of the worst sounding cars in the game. Whilst Volkswagen's turbo 4-bangers are pretty well known for sounding flat and lifeless in the real world, it'd be nice to have slightly more theatrics, which is a word Volkswagen hasn't heard since they made the W12 Nardo. Thing is, I don't really have any idea which engine they should use. The obvious choices would be a K24 as usual, or the same flat 6 that we can use for the Beetle. Thing is, I think they're slightly too obvious. So, out of nowhere, I'm going to suggest the Windsor 289 from the 1965 Shelby GT350, because a European front-wheel drive with an American V8 is blasphemy, and in this case blasphemy is hilarious. Speaking of blasphemy, here's one more to turn things on their head. There's plenty of muscle car swaps in Gran Turismo 7, and almost all of them consist of a classic muscle car having a modern American V8, Coyote engine in the Mustang Mach-1 for example. What if we did something more unique? Here is the Judge. It's an infinitely cool car, and so far it has no engine swaps available. Much as I'd be happy with the LS9 engine, I have two very cursed suggestions instead. The first is the 3S GTE from the Castrol Tom Supra. It's slightly lacking in the sound department, but it's one of the most powerful 4-cylinder engines in the game, and I figured the Honda Super GT engine was slightly too predictable. My other suggestion is slightly inspired by that Mustang and that movie about drifting, the RB26. However, not the one from the R34 because it sounds a bit shit. No, I want the R33 engine, because once again, listen to it. So, that's a list of cars I think are crying out for a new engine. What cars do you want to see swapped? What's the most blasphemous combo you can think of? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please like, subscribe and touch my bell so that you get notified of my future uploads. Take care now, and ta-ra.